Aquitas was a visionary scientist, dedicated to advancing human potential in space. Her groundbreaking project aimed to enhance equilibrioception, the sense of balance and gravity perception. In her lab, she focused on the vestibular system in the inner ear, knowing that for astronauts, balance was essential. Her goal was to develop technology that would help them adapt seamlessly to zero gravity, enabling more stable and precise space missions. One day, while testing the device on herself, Aquitas experienced an unexpected power surge that caused the gravitas stimulator to malfunction. This created a distortion in the gravitational field, exposing krypton-85, a radioactive isotope, to her vestibular system utricle and saccule. Krypton-85, which is used in real-life applications like powering remote devices, enhanced her vestibular system, giving her flawless balance and the ability to control gravitational points around her. The exposure also affected key parts of her brain. Her cerebellum, which manages balance and coordination, became highly attuned to gravitational changes, enabling her to manipulate them with precision. Her parietal lobe, which helps with spatial awareness and navigation in gravitational space, was enhanced, allowing her to quickly adapt to shifts in gravity and maintain perfect equilibrium. Together, these enhancements gave Aquitas a superhuman sense of balance and gravitational control. After the incident with the gravitas stimulator, Aquitas tried her best to push the thoughts aside. She avoided overthinking what had happened to her and chose to keep her strange new reality a secret from her colleagues. Even when she noticed subtle changes, like how she felt unusually steady and balanced in situations that once challenged her, she dismissed the thoughts. Life went on, and Aquitas continued to pretend that everything was normal. One weekend, she joined her friends on a hiking trip, a shared hobby they all enjoyed. This time, they chose a new and challenging mountain, filled with rocky trails and slippery paths. As the group continued, her friends struggled, carefully navigating the uneven trail with cautious steps. But Aquitas felt something different. Her body moved effortlessly, as though the mountain posed no challenge at all. She crossed the rocky trails with speed and confidence, her footing flawless even on the slickest paths. It wasn't just luck, she felt it deep within her. She was untouchable, immune to the fear of falling. When she finally stopped to wait for her friends to catch up, realization struck. Her vestibular system had changed, her sensory threshold had decreased, making her balance sharper than ever. A flood of emotions overwhelmed her. On one hand, pride swelled in her chest. Her project had worked, even beyond her wildest expectations. But on the other hand, worry crept in. If her abilities had changed so drastically, what else might happen? What consequences might this newfound power bring? For a while, Aquitas kept her extraordinary abilities hidden, even after her team's grand presentation of their project to the stakeholders. She chose silence, afraid that revealing her secret would make her a target for exploitation. The enhanced balance and control she now possessed were both a gift and a burden, one she wasn't ready to share with the world. But fate had other plans. One sunny afternoon, she attended a community event at a nearby park. Families gathered, children played, and laughter filled the air. It was a perfect day, until disaster struck. The wooden bridge spanning the river suddenly gave way, collapsing. Chaos erupted as people scrambled to help, and a child's terrified cries echoed across the water. The boy was trapped, stranded on the wood, with no way to get to safety. As bystanders frantically called for help, Aquitas's instincts took over. Without a second thought, she stepped forward. Her eyes locked on a narrow, uneven tree trunk that had fallen across the river, a precarious and dangerous path. While others hesitated, she moved with calm determination. Her feet felt steady as she balanced effortlessly on the unstable surface, crossing the gap. In mere moments, she reached the child, scooping him up and guiding him to safety. The crowd erupted into applause, relief washing over them. But in the midst of the commotion, Aquitas didn't notice one critical detail: a bystander had been filming the entire rescue. Within hours, the video was shared online, accompanied by the #BalanceHero. It quickly went viral, capturing the attention of reporters and the public. Suddenly, Aquitas was thrust into the spotlight. News outlets called her relentlessly, eager to interview the mysterious woman with superhuman balance. But she refused them all, terrified that her secret, the true origin of her abilities, might be exposed. Despite her newfound fame as the mysterious #BalanceHero, Aquitas made it clear that she wasn't a rescuer. Emergency responders began reaching out to her, calling for her help in daring situations, saving hikers stranded on cliffs or assisting with precarious rescues. The calls kept coming, one after another, until one fateful day. A towering building in the city erupted into flames, smoke billowing into the sky. The fire had reached a private floor, inaccessible to the firefighters. Inside, people were trapped with no way out. Desperate for help, the authorities made a direct call to Aquitas, calling her repeatedly, their voices filled with urgency. For a moment, Aquitas hesitated, her instincts urging her to back down. But the stakes were too high, and she knew she had to act. When she arrived at the scene, flames roared and smoke filled the air. The only path to the trapped victims was a narrow PVC pipe. She steadied herself, focusing on her balance, and took a careful step onto the pipe. Despite the wind and smoke, she moved forward, eyes fixed ahead. Just as she neared the end, a chilling voice froze her in place. Sonic, the enemy, stood at the rooftop edge. Sonic grew up in a noisy city, where the constant sound of traffic and crowds overwhelmed him. The only peace he found was in a soundproof room at home, a sanctuary where he could escape the chaos. It was in this quiet space that he discovered his surprising ability to hit high notes, mimicking the operatic singers he admired. This sparked a passion for singing, and he spent years honing his voice in that room. Eventually, he joined his university's singing club, where his powerful, operatic voice impressed everyone. For Sonic, singing became not just a talent, but an escape, and soon, a source of power. After perfecting his voice, Sonic joined his university singing club, quickly becoming a standout performer under the guidance of a passionate, though careless, lecturer. But during a rehearsal, the lecturer shouted too loudly near Sonic's ear, causing a painful ringing that developed into tinnitus. The condition made it hard for Sonic to sing as he once had, yet the lecturer coldly kicked him out of the club. Devastated and betrayed, Sonic's anger transformed into a burning grudge. He vowed to get revenge, though he had no plan yet. Months later, Sonic heard about a fire at a city building, with his former lecturer's private floor among those affected. Curious and hoping for a chance, he rushed to the scene. When Sonic arrived, he saw Aquitas balancing on a PVC pipe, focused on rescuing his former lecturer. As the crowd cheered, a sinister plan formed in his mind. He did not fully understand her abilities, but he knew her balance was crucial. Realizing her power stemmed from her vestibular system, he grinned, preparing to use his voice, a weapon loud enough to disrupt her equilibrium and shatter her coordination. As Aquitas carefully crossed the PVC pipe, her focus was absolute. But then, a sharp, high-pitched sound hit her ears, sending pain through her body. Sonic's voice targeted her vestibular system, making her balance falter. Dizziness overwhelmed her, and for a moment, she considered giving up. But then, she remembered her research, balance was not just about the vestibular system. She relied on her sight, touch, and proprioception to regain her focus. Blocking out Sonic's noise, she carefully shifted her weight and reached the other side. With that final step, Aquitas realized the true power of sensory integration, a lesson that would forever shape her abilities.